Adventures in the Watershed, starring Mr. Ball.
That's me.
Every place on Earth is part of a watershed. That means that you live in a watershed. Do you know what a watershed is? You probably do know that water starts its journey as rain or snow, but eventually makes its way down hills, over city streets, through storm drains and creeks, to a final destination. Well, a watershed is all of the land that water flows over or through on its way to a river, lake, bay, or ocean. You live in a watershed that drains into the San Francisco Bay. That's the end of the line for our watershed. Today we're going to see just how important our watershed is and how you can help take care of it.
Hey kids, come on in. Get your hands washed up. It's time for lunch.
Okay, Mom.
Have you ever wondered what happens to water after you use it? Well, water that is flushed down drains inside your house and other buildings goes into the sanitary sewer system. Normal household waste can be cleaned out of this water at a wastewater treatment plant before the water goes to the bay. But outside, water that drains off of buildings, across yards, over pavement, and down street gutters goes into the storm drain system. This water, along with any pollutants that get into it, flows directly to creeks and eventually ends up in the bay. Remember, water that goes into the storm drain system never gets cleaned.
Ooh, it's wet in here. Oh. What's going on? Oh, look out! Oh, that wasn't so bad. Oh, this is pretty fun. Oh, oh, look out! Oh, this is so cool. Wow, pretty. Hey, what is that? Is that a fish? Hi, fishy. Hello, you're a strange-looking bird. Whoa! Hi, duck. Duck, 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 duck.
Okay, come take it.
Can you think of some ways that pollution might get into the storm drains?
Keep scrubbing. Over on the door. By the door.
This may not look like a creek, but it is.
Uh-huh.
Some creeks are lined with concrete to help protect us from flooding. It's important to keep this water clean for the plants and fish who live downstream.
Ooh.
Bye. I'll be back later.
Oh man, this is a mess. Blech. Ew. Blech.
Want a piece of gum? Okay.
Oh no, this is gross.
So where does all this pollution end up? Right, in the San Francisco Bay.
Oh my goodness.
Where it can harm plants and animals, including humans, that live around the bay. Watersheds should be protected because we use water for drinking and to grow and cook our food. We also use water for bathing and, of course, for having fun. Imagine what would happen if our water got polluted. So what can you do to keep our watershed clean? Well, there are lots of ways you and your family can help protect water quality. For example, you can wash the car at the car wash instead of in the street. Pick up your pet's wastes so they don't wash into the gutter. Ride your bike instead of using cars. Pick up litter near creeks and storm drains and put it in a garbage can with a tight lid. Avoid the use of pesticides and herbicides, which can wash into the gutter when it rains. Keep your car well maintained and recycle used motor oil at a nearby gas station. Stencil no dumping messages on storm drains to remind people to never ever dump chemicals into the storm drain. And maybe your family or school can even participate in a cleanup of a creek or shoreline.
Wow, Sarah, look like
Remember, our watershed is all around us. By protecting the creeks in our watershed, we can help keep our water clean and healthy for people and wildlife.